hand. Wave your hand in the Goku Mudra and take a sip of water to deepen your tongue along with the mantra. Om Atmatam Surnyami Svadha. Om Vidyadatvam Surnyami Svadha. Om Shivadatvam Surnyami Svadha. One, with the piece of your right hand up, while you lips twice your right to left around the mantra. Om Vidya Namaha. Once your hands to the your pulses, now the tips of the right hand fixed with every that's above the uplift and below the lower lip. Once your hands to the your pulses, with the tips of the right hand index and then join together. That's the right nostril, left nostril. With the tips of the right hand ring and then join together. That's the right side, left side, right here, left here. Once hands to the your pulses, chest, chest. With all sides you will join together. Then the top of your head, right shoulder, left shoulder, and your right side. Wash your hands with the receiving of water. So now, we enter into the Sankalpa, the conscious meditation. Please clasp your left hand with your right and place it on your right side. As we enter into the Sankalpa, full conscious visualization of whatever reality you want to see. Whether it's ultimate body, the ultimate mind, or even the ultimate life. You're going to consciously the way you want to become. Full visualization that it has already happened, it has already manifested. As we enter into the Sankalpa. Om Namo Bhagavata Samasta Vidakshaya Dvara Bhagavad Srinivasana Parameshwara Nithyanandeshwari Parameshwara Paramita Nithyanandeshwara Parameshwara Paramita Purvokta Devam Vida Visheshena Vidishayam Atasyam Sunirikavu Purana Ayogita Naga Artha Yogic Please wash your hands with the rinse in your body. You can now place your body parts in a position, right? As we get ready to enter into the Sanatana Yoga.
Nithyananda. Before we begin, a quick reminder. Today's yoga practice is for general wellness and education only. Please listen to your body and practice within your own limits. If you have any injuries, medical conditions, or are pregnant, please consult your healthcare professional before practicing. If at any point you feel pain, dizziness, or discomfort, gently rest and gently stop and rest. Let us now enter into the asanas. As we move on to Panchama Vinyasa Krama today, from asanas 800 onwards, 801, the first asana is Siddhasana Chatvari. Accomplish pose 4. Come seated in a comfortable position. With your spine upright and hips grounded. Draw one heel in towards the perineum and stack the opposite foot gently on top, allowing the knees to settle naturally. Cross your arms in front of your chest, keeping your shoulders relaxed and chest open. Maintain steady breath and a stable centered posture. As you hold the position, hold the Shambhavi Mudra, keeping the eyes open, steady gaze. Sheetkari Kumbhaka, gently pressing the tongue against the upper palate with the tip behind the front teeth. Slowly inhaling through the teeth to create a hissing sound. And clench your perineum in Mula Bandha as you chant the japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham internally.
Adha Siddhasana.
Now we move on to Nrityasanam, withdrawal pose. Continuing to remain seated in the same position, draw one heel inward towards the perineum, stacking the opposite foot gently on top, allowing the knees to settle naturally. Cross your arms in front of your chest, keeping your shoulders relaxed, holding the Shambhavi Mudra and Sheetkari Kumbhaka. In Sheetkari Kumbhaka, you will gently press the tongue against the upper palate with the tip behind the front teeth. Tip of your tongue behind the front teeth. Slowly inhale through the teeth to create a hissing sound. Hold the Mula Bandha, chant the japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now we move on to Simhasana Chaturtha, Lion Pose 6. Continuing to remain seated in the same position, place the back of your hands on respective knees, palms open, and gaze to the nose. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Sheetkari Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha, japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Simhasana Chaturtha. दशानेषु प्रथमं सिद्धासनं द्वितीयं भद्रासनं तृतीयं पद्मासनं चतुर्थं गोमुखासनं पञ्चमं वीरासनं षष्ठं वज्रासनं सप्तमं भुजङ्गासनं अष्टमं मत्स्यासनं नवमं उदासनं दशमम्.
Now we move on to Mrigavashtikasana, auspicious deer pose. Now we are moving on to Padmasana, placing the left foot on the right thigh and the right foot on the left thigh. Bring your legs, keeping legs to face each other, keeping your knees grounded softly on the floor. Form Mrigashira Mudra by placing both hands on your knees with fingers the fingers creating the deer head gesture. Keep your spine tall and breath steady for yogic focus, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Sheetkari Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha, japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
मृगस्वस्तिकासना. स्थातव्यो भूतले पादौ वसनास्थेन योगिना दक्षिणं वामभागे तु वामपादं तु दक्षिणे.
Now we move on to Sthirasana, steady pose. Start seated in a comfortable position with your spine upright, hips grounded. Draw one heel in towards the perineum and stack the opposite foot gently on top, allowing the knees to gently settle naturally. Interlace your fingers in front of your stomach, keeping your shoulders relaxed and chest open. Maintain steady breath and a stable centered posture, holding the Parashu Mudra with the palms, interlacing the fingers, and Sheetkari Kumbhaka, gently pressing the tongue against the upper palate and the tip behind the front teeth, slowly inhaling through the teeth to create a hissing sound. Hold the Mula Bandha, chant the japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Adha Sthirasana.
Next we move on to Sthita Parasana, steady heating pose. So start seated, comfortable, with drawing one heel towards the perineum, the other foot stacking the other opposite foot on top of the thigh, allowing the knees to settle naturally. Raise both hands upward above the head in alignment with the shoulders, simultaneously keeping your shoulders relaxed and chest open, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Sheetkari Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
atha Sthitapanasana.
Now we move on to Pavanasana Dve. Wind pose 2. Start kneeling with your knees grounded and your spine tall. Place your forefingers near the navel at the front and the body, on the front of the body, while positioning your thumbs around to the back. Holding the waist firmly, keep your chest lifted and shoulders relaxed as you engage your core gently as you raise your feet off the ground behind you. Maintain your balance with a steady breath and an upright posture, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, slightly contracting the throat and draw the breath slowly in through the nostrils, producing the sound of the ocean. Hold the Mula Bandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
atha Pavanasana.
Next, we move on to Purnapada Trikonasana. So, being in the kneeling position, bring your feet wider than shoulder width, keeping the tops of your feet flat on the ground and toes untucked. Lengthen your spine as you lift your chest upright and settle your weight evenly through your shins. Holding the Namaskara Mudra with your hands, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, contracting the throat and drawing the breath slowly in through the nostrils, producing the sound of the ocean. Clenching the perineum in Mula Bandha and chanting the Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
atha Purnapada Trikonasana.
Now we move on to Simhasana Pancha. From a seated position on your knees, cross your ankles beneath your perineum and soles turned upward. Place the palms firmly on top of the knees to ground the body. Draw the shin into the throat lock, extend the neck and keep the gaze fixed at the tip of the nose. Maintain the posture steadily, embodying the strength and stillness of a lion. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, Jalandhar Bandha by tucking the chin towards the chest firmly without straining the neck and chant the japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Simhasana cha Kulbhojja Krishnasya Vikramnordhana Prata Chidimulo Bhumistham Stau Karojajano Nopari Jalandharam Vyavastapram Natramavalokahet Simhasanam Bhavedetat Sarvavyadinivashakam.
Next is Ardha Vrikshasana, half tree pose. Start from a kneeling position and interlace your fingers, placing the backs of the hands firmly on the ground to create a stable base. Lower the crown of your head onto the palms, allowing the head to be gently supported while keeping most of the weight in your hands and forearms. Lift your hips upward and bring your knees off the ground, keeping them bent with the heels drawing in close towards the buttocks. Engage your core and press steadily through the backs of the hands to maintain balance. Holding the Shirasi Mudra, resting the hands lightly upon the head, maintaining stillness of breath and mind. Holding the Kevala Kumbhaka, allowing the breath to pass naturally, observe without forcing. Hold the Mula Bandha and chant the japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अथ अर्धवृक्षासना.
Next is Ardhangri Vrikshasana. So extending one leg straight up and keeping the other leg, the foot of the other leg resting on the shins. Keeping one knee bent while the other foot is extended. Holding the Shirashi Mudra, Kevala Kumbhaka Mulabandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अथ अर्धाङ्गिवृक्षासना.
Now alternate the legs by extending the opposite leg and bending the other knee in Ardhangri Vrikshasana.
अथ अर्धाङ्गिवृक्षासना.
Now slowly come down to a seated position. Start kneeling on the ground with the knees hip-width apart. Place both hands gently over the heart center, crossing the arms, keeping your spine straight and chest open. Ground your seated bones evenly onto the foot, feeling a sense of gratitude and reverence. Holding the Kevala Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अञ्जलिकासना. जाननी भूमविद्या हस्तद्वये हृदये सा भ्रयेत्. अञ्जलिकासनम् इदं प्राणासनम् इति.
Next is Mrityunjaya Asana. It's an inverted pose, death conquering pose. From a seated position on your knees, place the crown of the head on the ground and interlace the fingers at the back of your head for support. Lift the knees and extend the legs upward, forming a firm vertical alignment. Keep the elbows and forearms grounded to stabilize the body. Holding the Vaishnavi Mudra, hold your vision steady without blinking while awareness remains inwardly. Hold the Kevala Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
मृत्युंजय आसना. मृत्युंजयासनं वृषण्पदौ व्योम्नि ध्यायं महादेवं मृत्युंजयममृतं लभेत्.
Yes, next is the Urdhva Samyukta Padasana. Raised united foot pose. So now bringing the feet together with the knees bent. Holding the Vaishnavi Mudra, Kevala Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अथ ऊर्ध्व संयुक्त पादासना.
Remaining in the same position, now we move on to Khadga Asana. Urvanga, the sword pose preliminary. Keeping the elbows and forearms grounded to stabilize the body, lift the knees and spread them wide, bringing the soles of the feet together and heels down towards the perineum. Holding the Vaishnavi Mudra, Kevala Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
खड्गहासना. बुद्धिजासाय पादतले सममेव संयोजये यथाशक्ति कुम्भकसितो व्यायामं समुप्रारभेत्.
Now we move on to Khadgahasana, sword pose. This time extended both legs straight up. Holding the Vaishnavi Mudra, Kevala Kumbhaka, Mulabandha, Japa, Om, Nithyananda, Paramashivoham.
भुजङ्गुलीर्भूमौ निहत्य करयोऽङ्गुली सम्यग् घट्नीयात् ललाटाग्रे भूमिष्ठे कृत्वा कायं सम्यक् प्रसारयेत्.
Now we move on to Urdhva Padmasana. From remaining in this same position, bring your legs, cross them into a Padmasana position, holding the Parashamudra, placing the palm upon palm, interlacing the fingers. Kevala Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Atha Urdhva Padmasana.
From here we move on to Mandalasanam, Mandala pose from a seated position. Is actually this here we will just remaining in the same position, bring the feet down to the ground. Heels near the perineum with the toes tucked. Walk the feet in a circle, side, center, other side and back to the front. Holding the Vaishnavi Mudra, Kevala Kumbhaka, Mulabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Mandalasanam. Mandalasanam nama padabhyam bhumim sprishan hastabhyam cha paribrahmam mandala karam dakshinam vamam cha.
Now we move on to Khadgahasana Uttaranga, sword pose progression. This is an advanced asana, so please do only with the support of an acharya or a partner. Do not attempt this by yourself. So here, being in the inverted position, you will extend the arms straight to the sides. So bringing the crown of your head to the floor. This time we are not using the arms interlacing the fingers for support. We are going to extend the arms by the side and extending the legs straight up. Holding the Vaishnavi Mudra, Kevala Kumbhaka, Mulabandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Khadgahasana Uttaranga. Bhujanguli Purvata Prasadya Padadvayam Paschannatam Vidhaya Udaram Pranomya Vegaretsakarena Sankochaka Kumbhakam Sadhiyet Stiraha.
Now we move on to Vajrasana, Padakara, Mudrasana. So come seated. Sit with your knees on the ground and toes flat, resting your sitting bones on top of the head facing forward. Holding the Shakti Chalana Mudra, awakening the base energy with steady intent, drawing the prana upward through the spine. apologize for the technical glitch. Now we continue to Asana 821, Vajrasana Padakara Mudrasana, Thunderbolt Foot Pulling Action Pose. Here come seated in Vajrasana, kneeling and sitting on your heels. Place the hands on your respective thighs with the elbows straight and head facing forward. Holding the Shakti Chalana Mudra, awaken the base energy with steady intent, drawing prana upward through the spine. Hold the Ujjayi Kumbhaka, slightly contracting the throat and drawing the breath slowly in through the nostrils, producing the sound of the ocean. Hold the Mulabandha and chant the japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now we move on to the next asana, Garudasana Sat. Eagle pose 6. From a seated position on your knees, bring your knees together and spread your feet wide apart. Rotate the inside of your feet towards the ground and rest your palms on the respective knees, holding the Vaishnavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa is Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Garudasana Sat. Rajasanam Apyatram Kukutasana Muddam Anavasanam Chaiva Garudasana Meha.
Now we move on to Gorakshasana Dve, Sage Gorakshasa pose. Start kneeling with the heels together and your knees wide apart, allowing the inner edges of your feet to rest on the ground with the soles facing towards one another. Settle your hips evenly as you lengthen your spine, crossing the arms behind your back and reach down to wrap in the index fingers. Holding the prana mudra with your hands, Ujjayi Kumbhaka with your breath, making the sound of the ocean, Mula Bandha and Japa is Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now we move on to Kurmasana Sat, the tortoise pose 6. From a seated position on your knees, spread them wide and bring your torso forward. We apologize for the technical glitch. As we now continue into Kurmasana Sat Tortoise Pose 6. From a seated position on your knees, spread them wide and bring your torso forward, resting your elbows lightly on your knees. Slowly bring your chest down towards the ground and rest your chin on the mat as well. Keep the heels together behind you and toes flat on the ground as you gaze forward. Holding the Kurma Mudra, draw the senses inward, becoming still and withdraw like a tortoise within the shell. Holding the Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Kurmasana Shat. Vedna Udaradhare. कर्मशरे कृकुरु वामी जंकपरा दहाने उपजदहनो पार्श्वको पगलगा गुते.
Now we move on to Adho Kalasana, downward sky mover pose. So come on your feet and hands, making an inverted V with your hip, raising the hip, with the feet hip width apart, pressing down, spine long and head relaxed down between the arms. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Adho Kagasana. Urdhva Kago Madhya Kagas. Tata Kago Ishyate Niradharo Vichagaksyak Chidagavaridaha.
Now we move on to Alidasana, archery stance pose, bringing one foot forward in a 90-degree angle. Extend also the same arm right in front, making a fist, and bring the opposite arm, pulling it back and bringing the left leg back in a lunge. So, and bringing both the hands are in a fist. The back hand is in a fist close to the chest. Keep the torso upright, hips square, and maintain a stable, powerful stance, holding the Dhanu or Vama Mudra. Press the ring fingers and little fingers by the thumbs, touching respective shoulders with the opposite hands. Holding the Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
आलिधातु प्रकृत्यव्यं सव्यं चैवानुकुञ्चितं दक्षिणं तु पुरस्तद्वायूरपादे.
Lean forward, wrapping the arms around the leg, bringing the crown of the head down towards the floor, and the back hand coming above your head and wrapping around the feet, around your ankles. Ardha Chandrasana Dve Uttaranga, holding the Shambhavi Mudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now we move on to next Baddha Parshva Konasana. So bound side angle pose, this time wrapping the arms around the thighs and leaning your face upward, wrapping the arms around the thigh from back. So one arm goes in the front of the thigh while the other arm wrap behind your back and try to clasp the fingers together as you turn upwards. Holding the Parashamudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Adha Parshva Konasana. Kapshayopada Dharanam Kadati Buddha Udaraskambhayoschaiva Dharanam Varapa.
Relax. Now we move on to Urdhva Akasha Statakasana, upward sky mover pose. So from a tabletop, pressing your hands onto the ground and tuck the toes, lifting the heels as you raise the hips into a V shape. Shift weight onto your left hand and foot. Lift and rotate the right leg and place the right foot behind you. Lift the chest and hips. Extend the right arm overhead or back. Engage the core and maintain steady breath as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Zom Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Urdhva Akasha Statikasana. Pridhakagohakastata Khagashyate Chidan Gavarida.
Actually, transpose repeated on the other side. Holding the Dhanu or Vana Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japa Zom Nithyananda Paramashivoham. This time, bringing the opposite leg front, in the front making a 90-degree angle, extending the arm in the front, making a fist, and pulling the other hand by your chest, also in a fist, and extend the leg behind you.
Pratilya Agrato Vamapadascha Dakshinam Chanukunchitam Pratyajiham Prakattavyam Hastadvayas.
Now we move on to Ardha Chandrasana Dve Uttaranga. From the same position, bring your hands around the feet and bringing your crown of your head towards the ankle as you look in front of you and wrap the arms around. In the half moon pose to progression, holding the Shambhavi Mudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Zom Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Ardha Chandrasana Dve Janum Veshayitva Urdhanam Bhumau Nayet Nidashekakakumthagam Swasham Saptada Sadhaye.
From here, we move on to Baddha Parshva Konasana, wrapping the arms around the thighs and look towards the sky. As you hold the Parashamudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Zom Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now we move on to the next asana, Urdhva Akasha Stataka Asana, upward sky mover pose. Coming from a tabletop, press your hands onto the ground and tuck the toes, lifting the heels as you raise your hip into a V shape. This time, raise the opposite hand up as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Urdhva Akasha Statikasana. Urdhva Kagoma Madhya Kagastada Kagashyate Radharopi Chadakshyachidaka.
Now we move on to Bhairava Stapadasana, 8-limbed Bhairava pose. Hold here. Begin from a plank position with the toes tucked and hands flat. Slowly lower your knees, chest and chin down so they lightly touch the floor. Maintain your hips lifted, spine long. Avoid lifting the elbows. flat or flare wide by tucking them in your sides. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
भैरवस्थापदासना अष्टपादासने स्थित्वं भैरवं हृदि धारये कुक्कुटासनवद्प्रोक्तं जानुभ्यामतिविलोकनम्.
Now we move on to Madhya Kaga Asana, middle sky mover pose. This time extending the legs behind you, arms straight, palms on the floor. Open your chest and lift up. Lift the thighs, broaden the collarbones, open the chest and gaze slightly upward. Engage the core and breathe steady, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now we move on to the next asana, Ekapadasana Trini, one-legged pose 3. So now come to a standing position, fold forward as you bring both hands to the floor in front of your feet and raise one leg up vertically high, up towards the sky, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
एकपादासनत्रिणे मत्स्येन्द्रं पार्श्वमत्स्येन्द्रं भद्रमत्स्येन्द्रमेव च निरालम्बं च चन्द्राख्यं कण्ठं चैकपादकम्.
Now repeat the same asana on the other leg.
मत्स्येन्द्रं पार्श्वमत्स्येन्द्रं भद्रमत्स्येन्द्रमेव च चन्द्राख्यं कण्ठं चैकपादकम्.
Now we move on to Vrikshasana Trini, tree pose 3. Start standing with your feet grounded, spine tall. Raise both arms overhead and bring your palms together, keeping your shoulders relaxed as you lengthen upward. Press your hips gently forward as you lift your chest, engaging your core to support the movement and avoid strain in the lower back. Tilt your head back and lean into a controlled back bend, maintaining steady breath and length through the spine. For the Anjali Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
शासनत्रिणे अथ
Markatasana. Next we're moving on to Markatasana. The way the monkey pose 2. Start standing with your feet width apart, wide apart, wider than hip width. On an exhale, hinge from the hips and fold forward deeply, bringing your head all the way down and threading it between the thighs. Slide your index and middle fingers under your big toes, wrapping your thumbs over the top to grasp them firmly. As you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
भैरवकामदहनं पानिपात्रं चकारमुखं स्वस्वमुखं वीरं मानुकं मर्कटासनम्.
Slowly come up as we move on to Kanthadi Asana, throat focused pose. Stand with feet wide, knees bent at 90 degrees and stacked above the ankles. Thighs parallel to the ground, keep the spine straight and chest proud. Raise your arms up to parallel to the ground and bend the elbows at a 90-degree angle, facing the palms outward and hold firmly. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Next we move on to Sage Kaundinya pose. Start by bending your knees and sinking your hips down. Twist your torso to one side and bring both hands onto the mat, shoulder width apart. Place the thigh on your bent leg, on the opposite arm, bending your elbows to create a shelf. Engage your core and lean forward, shifting your weight onto your hands. Lift your feet off the floor, bringing your heels towards your glutes. Then extend the top leg straight back while the bottom leg reaches out to the side. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japa as Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Kaundinya Vashishtamada Kaundinya Dukukudamev cha Ashtavakramато Thanam Sancham Vijam Veerabhadrakam Dadarajatrikonam Suttangashtaprasarane.
Now we move on to the next asana, Kaundinyasana Parshvantre, Sage Kaundinyas pose repeated on the other side.
Tammadam Kaundinya Dukukudamevacha Ashtavakramaturam Setubandhanam Uttarapadam Chaudam Shavani Veerabhadrakam Dadarajan Trikonam Suttangashtaprasarane.
Slowly come down as we move on to the next asana, Manduki Pava Asana, frog foot pose. So start in a plank position with the hands and toes with feet spread slightly wider than shoulders width. Lean over and wrap one arm behind your back to clasp onto the opposite hand's forearm. Keep your core engaged firmly to hold the three-limb stance. Maintain length in your spine and hip level to avoid sagging. Ground evenly through your supporting hand and feet for stability. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japa as Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Adha Manduki Pavasana.
Now repeat the same asana on the other side, Manduki Pava Asana.
Adha Manduki Pavasana.
From here, we are moving on to Hamsasana 3D. Start kneeling with the palms on the mat just below your navel. Lean forward and bend your elbows to stack them under your wrist. Lift your legs straight up to balance on your hands. Keep your gaze forward for stability. Avoid collapsing your chest by pressing firmly onto the mat. Then lower your legs gently or practice with the wall support if needed. So you can extend the legs so that the feet are on the wall above the ground and you're resting your weight on the palms. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha, Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Hamsasanam nama Karatalo Nidhoyare To Prishte Samudhapya Hamsavat Vicharet Buddha.
Next we move on to Prasaritasana, extended pose. So start standing with your feet wide apart, hinge forward from your hips, bow your head towards the ground as low as comfortable, extend your arms behind you, interlacing the fingers firmly. Place your hands away from your back. Hold the Parashamudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, Jalandhara Bandha by tucking the chin towards the chest and chant a japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Prasaritasana Tadyat Padadayam Kuryat Tadmukham Tu Pradamitam Prishthopu Apadhanastam Samprasya Karadayam Prasaritasana Deva Etat Kaditham Yoga Siddhidam.
Now we move on to Utkata Konasana, goddess pose 2. Stand with feet wide, knees bent at 90 degrees and stacked above the ankles. Thighs parallel to the ground, keep the spine straight and chest tilted slightly downward. Rest your hands on top of your respective knees with elbows locked and hold firmly. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha, Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Utkata Konasana Dve Sapta Chakra Kshalanaya Shasana Visheshkan Jananenindriyadhyaya Konabhedan Samabhyase.
So Madhevasvana, you're not leaning forward. So the spine is tall. As you bend your knees, relax your shoulders and straight up. Your hips are straight and yes. Now from here we are going to transition to Parivritti Utkata Konasana. So from the same position, turn towards one side. So twist towards one side as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Utkatasana Sapta Chakra Kalanaya Vikshasana Visheshakan Jananendriyadhyaya Konabhedan Samabhyase.
Now we are repeating the Parivritti Utkata Konasana on the other side. Revolved goddess pose 2. Next is Utkata Konasana, goddess pose. Now, remaining in the same position, raise both arms by your side. Keeping the spine straight, chest proud, raise your arms up parallel to the ground and bend your elbows at a 90-degree angle facing the palm outward and hold firmly, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha, Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Utkata Konasana Sapta Chakra Kshalanaya Vikshasana Visheshakan Jananendriyadhyaya Konabhedan Samabhyase.
Next is Ganasana. So come to a standing position, the compact pose, standing tall with your feet flat and grounded beneath you. Let your arms rest naturally by your side with the shoulders relaxed. Lengthen your spine and lift gently through the crown of your head, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha, Japa Zom Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Dhanasana.
Next we move on to Tula Dandasana. Balancing staff pose, shifting your weight to one leg, lean forward as you extend the arms by your side, by your ears. Now extend the opposite leg behind you parallel so that the whole body is parallel to the floor, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Tuladandasana nama bado bhumau stapayitva shariram sanam dharayet iti uchyate.
Now repeating the Tuladandasana on the opposite side.
Tuladandasana nama bhumau stapayitva shariram tuladandavat samam dharayet iti uchyate.
Now we move on to Niradhara Adha Khagasana. Unsupported sky mover pose. It's an inverted pose. Now bringing the palms down on the floor. Now this time, instead of the legs raising up all the way, you will bend at your hips and the legs are extended sideways. Lean forward, engage the core, lift your hips while straightening your legs. Shift your weight onto your hands, keeping the arms straight, and lift your feet off the ground. Draw the legs up so they are 90-degree angle at the hip and parallel to the floor. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Samavriddhi, inhaling through the nose and exhaling evenly, maintaining rhythmic breath without strain. Holding the Mulabandha, chant the Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Niradhara Kadasana. Vamadachina Kagabhyam Sagajakatate Shama Upavidya Eva Kaka Abhicharena Apashapanam.
Next we move on to Hastasana, handstand pose. So this time raising your feet completely up, vertically above your body. In Hastasana, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Samavriddhi Mulabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Hastasana Nama Karitalo Bhumau Stapayitva Pado Prishte Samuthapya Hastabhyam Dharayet Balat.
From here we are moving on to Hasta Vrikshasana, single hand tree pose. From here transitioning by lifting one arm and raising, maintaining your whole weight with one hand. And the legs are extended, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Samavriddhi Mulabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Hastavrikshasanam Nama Ekahastena Bhuvim Chan Aparam Hastam Urdhvam Kritva Shavadvijrambe.
We apologize for the technical glitch, having some audio issues. Now we move on to the next. Ekahasta Niradhara Khagasana, one-handed unsupported sky mover pose. So repeating the same asana, resting on one palm while the legs are extended and the opposite arm is extended by the side. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Samavriddhi Mulabandha, Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
एकहस्त निराधार खगासना ऊर्ध्व खगो मध्य खग तदा खग इष्यते निराधारोपजिगक्ष्यादि.
Now repeating the asana on the other side.
हस्तवृक्षासना. हस्तवृक्षासनं नाम एकहस्तेन भूमिं स्पृशन् अपरं हस्तं ऊर्ध्वं कृत्वा वृक्षवत् विजृम्भेत्.
As you gently come down, now let us move on to the next asana. Ekahasta Niradhara Khagasana Parshvantre. So repeating the one-handed and supported sky. Raise your elbows upward and cross your hands behind your back, holding your opposite shoulders. Hold steady with the spine upright. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Apakarshna Kumbhaka, partially closing the nose and doing the Recha Puraka, that is holding the breath out. This is Apakarshna Kumbhaka. Hold the Mulabandha, Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
कार्मुकं स्वस्तिकं गोमुखं वीर्यं माण्डुकं मर्कटासनम्.
Now we move on to Gomukhasana Chatwari, raising the right arm above and bending at the elbow, bringing the left arm from underneath, bending at the elbow and interlace the fingers, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham in cow face pose 4.
गोमुखासन चत्वारि. सिद्धं पद्मं तथा सिंहं भद्रं वज्रं च मुक्तकं गुप्तं गोमुखम् एकं च वीरं स्वस्तिकमेव च.
Now we move on to Bandha Parsva Avesha, side, bind, lean. So, sitting in Gomukhasana, wrap your left hand behind, left arm behind to hold on to the right elbow as you bring the right palm to the belly. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
बंध पार्श्वासना. बंध पार्श्व अवेशा. धारयित्वा पृष्ठे शयनकटं निष्कुज्य धृतम् उत्तोलयेत्.
Now we move on to Shenahasana. Start knee raised and place the right foot flat onto the ground outside the bent knee. Take your left hand and hold on to the left knee and twist your upper body towards the right side as you wrap the right arm behind your back and turn towards your right. This is the hawk pose, Shenahasana, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
आसना. वामं पादं दक्षिणतले स्थापयित्वा दृढं न्यसेत्. कक्षमानुजं कसति ग्रहेयत् तथा.
Now we move on to Shenahasana Purvanga. Sitting in the same position. Now take the right hand and hold on to the left foot at the hip, opening your chest towards the left side in the opposite direction and take your left arm straight up, palm facing upwards. So the right hand comes to hold on to the left foot and the left arm is raised up. In hawk pose progression, as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
वामपादं दक्षिणतले स्थापयित्वा धृतं न्यस्य तथा वामाजातं कसिदिग्र.
Now we move on to Gomatsyendrasana, bow pulling pose. So start seated with your left knee bent and foot at the right hip. Cross your right foot, keeping your knee raised, and place the right foot flat on the ground outside of the bent left knee. Take your left hand and place it under your raised right knee and wrap your right arm behind your back, holding onto your left wrist. Holding the Parashamudra with your hands, interlacing the fingers. Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mula Bandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
गोमत्स्येन्द्रासना धनुराकर्षका कृत्स्ना धनुरासनमीरितं वामोरमूलार्पिता दक्षपादं जान्वोर्बहिर्वेष्टिर्वामदोष्णाम्.
Next we move on to Ardhasanam from a seated position. So now come to a seated position. Bring one foot, place it on the opposite thigh, keeping the other leg bent beneath you and extended comfortably with the palms resting on the respective knees, holding the Vaishnavi Mudra. Hold outer vision steady without blinking while your awareness remains inward. Hold the Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mula Bandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
दर्धासनं करुमासनम् अपि श्रेष्ठं दर्दुर्मुच्यते गजासनं समुद्दिष्टं ततोर्धासनमुच्यते.
Now we move on to Vamachaturam Sapadasana, left quarter foot pose. So sitting in the Gomukhasana posture with the one knee stacked over the other, bringing the palms, interlacing the hands in and bringing in front of your stomach. Allowing the hands to rest lightly. Hold the Parashamudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mula Bandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
वामत्रं सापदासनाः.
Next we move on to Chapati Asana. Start seated with the knees stacked, one atop the other and heels on the opposite head. Place the back of your hands on the respective hips, palms facing outward. Keep your spine tall, shoulders relaxed as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mula Bandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now, Charpati Asana Parshvantra, the woodcutter pose repeated. On the other side, stack the opposite legs as you bring the hands to the side. Now we move on to Govindasana. This time, bringing the palms facing up, resting on the thighs. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mula Bandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Govindasana.
Now bring your hands to hold on to the respective of the opposite toes. In Shakti Chalana Mudra, awaken the base energy. Apakarsha Kumbhaka Udhyana Bandha by drawing the abdomen inward toward the spine, then lift it upward and chant the Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Lovely asana. Sarvanga Chalana Devi Kundali Shakti Chalanam Chalana Kundali Devya Sedhasanam Aruhyat Vitva Padayugam Karo Chalayedujaram Paschat Vedu Sadhanam.
Now gently lean forward, bringing your forehead towards the floor or towards the knee in Janu Prerena Hasana. Knee shift pose. Start seated with the knees stacked, left knee, and bring your forehead towards your knees. Hold the Prana Mudra. Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
asana Janupietanam Dritva Madhyam Sabya Dakshinam Prerayet.
Now, cross your arms over to hold on to the respective toes. Hold the Prana Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha in Pada Samyukta Parivritta Hasana. Cross-legged turn pose.
Janu Samyukta Parivrittasana Kunjayitva Hastatale Veshagivam Adhikam Parivartayet.
Next is Ganeshasana. Bring your arms behind, cross your hands behind your back and hold on to the toes. Holding the Prana Mudra, Apakarsha Kumbhaka, Uddiyana Bandha by drawing the abdomen inward and up and chant the Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
गोमुखे संस्थितं कृत्वा पार्श्वे वृक्षस्य युग्मके तत्र शिवानिकं स्थाप्य गणेशासनमितीरितम्.
Now we are going to repeat the sequence of the asanas on the other side. So now raising the opposite knee up, placing the other knee on top. Bring the right arm behind you to hold on to the left elbow and the left palm placed on the belly into Bandha Parshva Aveshasana. Side bind lean pose as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
धारयित्वा पृष्ठे शयनाकरं निष्कुच्य धृतमुत्तोलयेत्.
Now we are repeating the Shayana Hasana on the other side. Now placing the left foot outside of the right knee and bring the right arm around the left knee, holding onto the left foot and wrap the left arm behind your back. In Shayana Hasana, as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now we move on to Shayana Hasana Purvanga Dve, half pose progression. So this time, raise your right arm up and hold on to the right foot with the left hand. As you hold the Shambhavi Mudra Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अकक्षया वामं जानं कस्मै गृह्यते सा.
Now we are moving on to Gomatsendrasana, bow pulling pose. So now with the left knee raised up, bring the right hand to bring underneath your leg. As you bring the left arm behind you and try to clasp the fingers together as you twist towards your left in Gomatsendrasana. As you hold the Shambhavi Mudra Apakarsha Kumbhaka Mula.
गोमत्सेन्द्रासना नगर आकर्षकार्पितात् धरासनमीरितं वामोरुमूलात्पित दक्ष पादं जान्वोर्बहिर्वेष्टितवामदोष्णं प्रगृह्य तिष्ठं परिवर्तिताङ्गं गोमत्सेन्द्र नाथोदितमासनं न्यसेत्.
Now we move on to Ardha Kurmasana. Sit with your knees on the ground, toes flat and outside of the hips. Exhale, lower the chest to the floor. Keep your hips between the heels. Palms in prayer position beneath the throat with the hips with the tips of the fingers touching the chin as it rests on the ground, holding the Kurma Mudra Ujjayi Kumbhaka. In Kurma Mudra, you will draw the senses inward, becoming still and withdrawn like a tortoise within the shell. Hold the Mula Bandha, Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अर्धकूर्मासनं नाम पादौ पृष्ठे समर्पितौ
Now we move on to Sauriyasana. So now sitting with the knees spread wide apart. Start sitting in the kneeling position with the toes tucked and sitting bones on your back heel. Spread your knees on the wide, placing the palms on the respective upper thighs. The fingers point upwards towards the body. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, Udhyana Bandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Suma Devasana, relax your shoulders. Relax the shoulders and palms facing inwards and palms facing up. Next we move on to Dakshina Gripavana Muktasana. So start seated with one heel down close to the perineum, grounding your weight evenly. Place the opposite foot flat on the ground. With the knee raised upward, keeping your spine long. Thread your arms across one another in front of your chest, sliding them between your torso and the lifted thigh to create a secure hold. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mula Bandha, and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अथ दक्षिणगृह्पवासनमुक्तासना.
Next is Ardha Paschimottanasana, half western stretch pose. This time extend the left leg in front of you. Lean forward, holding onto the foot, extended foot, and folding the other leg behind and sitting on the heels. In the Ardha Paschimottanasana, hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
अर्धपश्चिमोत्तानासना. पादं विचलान् सकुले समीपतः गता उक्षिप्य पादाङ्गुष्ठं सपिनोर्ध्वं स्थापयेत्.
Next we move on to Vama Vakrahasana, left twisted pose. Start sitting on your knees. Start sitting on your knees with your right heel resting beneath the sitting bones for support. Bring your left knee to the outside of the left hip, allowing the legs to settle comfortably. Lengthen your spine as you gently twist your upper body towards the left, keeping your movement soft and controlled. Place your hands in front of your stomach, one resting on top of the other, and maintain a steady breath. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Next, we move on to Vaman Grihi Pavana Muktasana, repeated on the other side. Now, raising the opposite knee, keeping the foot flat on the ground and bringing the other foot to the perineum. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham as you wrap your arms around your chest.
अथ वामग्रीपवनमुक्तासना.
Now we move on to the next asana, Ardha Paschimottanasana, repeated on the other side. Extending the right leg forward, holding on to the foot with both hands while sitting with the left knee bent and sitting on the heel. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka, Mula Bandha, Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Uttanasana. Padam Vistranam Kuryat Padasya Esha Gune Samivataha Karita Ukshya Padam Kushtam Sapin Northam Stapayet.
Now we repeat the Dakshina Vakrasana. Right twisted pose. Sitting on the left heel with the right foot by your side, outside of the hip. Bringing the hands together in front of your belly, one palm on the other. As you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Moolabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Your palms are actually in front of the belly. Now we move on to the next asana. Kapotha asana dve, dove pose. 2. Now from the kneeling position, bring your hands onto the ground in front of you. Extend one leg straight backward. Keep the opposite knee bent and heel slightly crossed inward towards the groin. Bring the hands to the respective hips. Push the hips and chest forward. Gently lean your upper body back and open up the chest. As you lift the head upwards, hold the Shambhavi Mudra. Ujjayi Kumbhaka Moolabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Kapotahasana Dve. Langa Drida Padamekam Prasarya Anyam Makuncha Gukyenyasya Unakekadishtasaha Tam Udvaja Kapotakaram Sirodham Dharayet Tiraha.
Now Kapotahasana Dve Purvanga. This time bending the leg that is behind you and holding onto that foot with the hands above and behind your head. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Moolabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Kapotahasana Dve. Prasara Pada Pushtam Shiraha Prishte Vinamaye Kayacharana Purvam Vyayayam Sama.
Now we move on to Prishtabadha Bhairavasana, back-bound Bhairava pose. So this time, remaining in the same position, except your left hand is going to come behind your back and holding onto the left foot, while your right hand is holding onto the right toe still. So the only change from the previous asana is this time your left hand comes around behind the back to hold on to the left toe in Prishtabadha Bhairavasana. As you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Moolabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Prishtabadha Bhairavasana. Vamapadam Dakshinorum Samadhaya Prishtata Daksha Hastena Visniyad Vamapadam.
Now, Kapotahasana Dve Uttaranga, dove pose to progression. So, extending one leg in the front and one leg behind, stretching it completely into a side split. As you bring your hands to the hips and chest forward and look upwards. In Kapotahasana Dve Uttaranga, hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Moolabandha and Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Kunchita Janam Puras Tad Prasaranidadesha Kumbhaka Sunyaka Kumbhake Tishtet
relax. Now we move on to the next asana. Kapota Hasana Dve Uttaranga Dve. So this time from the previous asana, lean forward into the front leg and extending your arms to hold on to the respective toes or ankle. As you hold, the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japa is Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
कुञ्चिनं पुरस्तात् प्रसाद देश कुम्भककुक्कुटं कुर्या पश्चाश्वमेन विन्यस्तं सप्तवारं शून्यककुम्भके.
Now we are going to repeat the sequence of asanas on the other side. Now bring the left leg behind, extending back, while the right leg is folded in front of you, bringing the foot to the groin and holding, bringing your hands to the hips, chest forward and look upward. In Kapota Hasana Dve, Parshvantre, as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
लङ्घधृतापदमेकं प्रसार्यान्यमकुञ्च्य गुह्यन्यस्य पूरकेकदिशकपोटकारं शिरोध्वं धारयेत् स्थिरः.
Now, Kapotahasana Dve Purvanga. Fold the leg that is behind, bending at the knees, and bring the toes and bring your arms above your head and hold on to the toe. As you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
प्रसारितपादाङ्गुष्ठं शिरपृष्ठे विनमयेत् कायजालनपूर्वं व्यायामं समाचरेत्.
Now we move on to the next asana. Prishta Bhaddha Bhairava Asana Parshvantre, backbound Bhairava pose repeated. So this time, remaining in the same position, bring the right hand behind you, behind your back to hold on to the right foot. That is near your groin. Hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha, Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
पृष्ठबद्धभैरवासना वामपादं दक्षिणोरुं समाधाय पृष्ठता दक्षहस्तेन गृह्णीयात् वामं पादं शिरोन्तिके.
Next we move on to the next asana. Kapotahasana Dve Uttaranga Parshvantre. This time extending the right leg in front of you and left leg extended behind you, holding with your hands on your hips, chest forward and look up. In Kapotahasana Dve Uttaranga, as you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha and Japas Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
पुरस्तात् प्रसाद देश कुम्भकं कुर्यात् पश्चात् पार्श्वविन्यस्तं सप्तवारं शून्यककुम्भके.
Next is Kapotahasana Dve Uttaranga Dve. This time lean forward, bringing both the hands towards the leg that is in front of you, holding on to the ankles or the foot. As you hold the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Bringing both the hands, leaning forward, bring both hands in front of you. As we move on to Kapotahasana Dve Uttaranga Dve. Holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
कुञ्चितजानं पुरस्तात् प्रसार्य निरदेशक कुम्भकं कुर्यात् पश्चात् पार्श्वविन्यस्तं सप्तवारं शून्यककुम्भके तिष्ठेत्.
Now, extend both legs in front of you as we move to Nishwasahasana, exhalation pose. Extending both legs in front of you, palms on your belly. Interlace your fingers at the level of your navel, holding the Parashamudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa as Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Atha Nishwasahasana.
Now slowly lean forward, bringing your hands grasping onto the feet. As we move on to Garbha Asana, embryo pose 2, holding the Prana Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa as Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Garbhasana 2. पादौ दण्डवद्भूमौ प्रसार्य पादाग्रं हस्ताभ्यं गृहीत्वा ललाटं जपानशून्यस्य गर्भासनमिदं गर्भनामेधयकम्.
Next we move on to Trikonahasana Purvanga, side split, extending the legs to the side. Hold on to the respective toes and lean forward. Holding the Prana Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Mulabandha Japa as Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
कुष्ठद्वयं गृहीत्वा पादविस्तारमाचरेत्.
Now we are moving on to Trikonahasana Trini, triangle pose 3. This we bringing the chin to the floor in front of you, continuing to remain in the same position. As you hold the Prana Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Jalandhara Bandha, tucking the chin towards the chest, and Japa as Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
त्रिकोणहासन त्रीणि पादाङ्गुष्ठयुगं दृढः. हम कृत्वा प्रसारपादः भुजद्वयं स्थापयेत्.
Now we move on to Trikonahasana Uttaranga, triangle pose 3 progression. So coming to a kneeling position, seated position, rotate your back and extend your feet onto the ground behind, keeping your hips raised, and wrap your arms beneath your respective shins and hold on to your feet. Do your best to keep your knees straight and calm. Smooth breathing, holding the Shambhavi Mudra, Ujjayi Kumbhaka Jalandhara Bandha and Japa as Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Now coming to a kneeling position. No, Ma Devasmarana and Ma Omkarnima, please come up. From a kneeling position, bring your crown of your head between the knees and bring your hands to hold on to the toes from between your thighs. Relax.
पाणिद्वयं गुल्फयुग्मे निवेश्य पादाङ्गुष्ठौ दृढं गृहीत्वा स्कन्धौ भूमौ निहत्य पादौ संकृष्य रेचकं.
Now we move on to the last asana for the sequence. Smashasana Vasana, cremation ground pose. Please come laying down on the mat, legs extended in front of you, arms by your side, palms facing up, keeping your eyes open. Completely relax your body as you hold the Shakti Chalana Mudra, awakening the base energy with steady intent, drawing the prana upward towards the spine. Hold the Kevala Kumbhaka, allowing the breath to pass naturally. Observe without forcing. Hold the Mula Bandha, and Japa is Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
श्मशानवासनम् आसाद्य देहं ध्यायेत् प्रज्वलितम्.
Slowly wiggle your toes, your hands, bend your knees, bring to your chest, hug them as you gently rock side to side. Slowly roll over to one side and come to a seated position. Congratulations, you have successfully completed the 800 to 900 asana. All of you did a wonderful job. I hope you enjoyed the Nithyananda Yoga session with us. If you'd like to get a deeper experience, please join us in Paramashiva Sena program, a 30-day program offered absolutely free of cost, where you can get a deeper experience of the Nithyananda Yoga as well as an experience of your true nature of Paramashiva, as being Paramashiva, Paramadvaita experience. You can register for this program at ecitizen.info/PSS. Thank you all for joining us today as we close the session with the Purna Mantra. Please bring your hands to your chest in Anjali Mudra as we chant Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam. Thank you, everyone. Now please turn towards Swamiji's Atmanurti and offer your gratitude. Thank you all. We'll see you all again tomorrow, same time. Thank you. Nithyanandam.